or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio, and apparently, it's a fighting Pokemon kind of day. We just looked at a new Terrakion not very long ago at all, and now we've got a new Fighting-type Heracross to be having a look at, which is really kind of cool, because the Heracross in Burning Shadows was a grass type, and the Heracross in Lost Thunder was a grass type, and, well, quite frankly, we don't often see Fighting-type Heracross. So it's really nice to have one now, but is it any good? Well, our translation here does come from the lovely David Hochmann over at RappelMann TCG. And actually, before we get into the basics, I've just gone and done a bit of research. We've had 15 Heracross so far. One of them has been a fighting type before this one. Bearing in mind we had a Delta species that was a fire type. So before today, we've had one fighting type Heracross, and that is just as many as fire type. And Heracross isn't even a fire type Pokemon. This is a little bit weird, but we got a fighting type, and I'll tell you what, fighting type are good. Black Belt to reduce the fighting cost by 1 if you're behind on prizes. Martial Arts Dojo to do an extra 10 damage, 40 if you're behind on prizes. And let's not forget a bit of the old Diancie Prism Star, which means you do an extra 20 damage. And you're hitting weakness on Pikarom. So yeah, it's a really good time to be a fighting type. It's weird that it's a fighting type given previous Heracross. Although, one could argue that maybe it's about gosh darn time we got a fighting-type Heracross. Anyway, less about its fighting typing, more about the basics. So we start off with the basics here. We've got 100 HP, which, it's just generally low. It's not in level ball territory if we get a reprint or you go into the expanded format. It's just low, if I'm honest with you. I can't really put it much more plainly than that. Now the good news is you got a retreat cost of 1, which means free retreat using either escape board or U-turn board, which is nice. And weakness to Psychic I don't think is very good. Because we looked at Mew and Mewtwo, or Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX the other day, and it looks kind of over the top phenomenal. And yeah, so people are going to be playing Psychic type to try and take that down. It's probably not a great time to have Psychic weakness. So the basics are looking alright. It's kind of weak, but it's a fighting type and it's got low retreat, so we can forgive it. But what does it actually do? Well, the more exciting attack here is the first one, and, well, according to David, if your opponent used a GX attack during their last turn, shuffle the active Pokemon and all cards attached to it into their deck. So it's basically a way of going, oh, you've used your GX attack, and then wrecking them. Now, having said that, this is a one-shot dealie. You get this once, and that's it. Because your opponent is limited to one GX attack during their game. So they use their GX attack, and then you get to get rid of their active Pokemon and all cards attached to it. It's kind of fun, but it's way better against some Pokemon than others. And one of my favourite ones here is Celebi and Venusaur. You see, Celebi and Venusaur is a really good, really slow Pokemon. It doesn't really have any energy acceleration. It relies on healing with stuff like Life Forest Prism Star and Shaman. And then it just kind of, well, sits there and waits you out. And then it hits you with special conditions, and it can play stuff like Crushing Hammer, and then when it's just about to run out of cards or it's used all its good cards, they use a GX attack for 4 energy to do 180 damage. But if you've got 5 energy on, free grass 2 colourless, you shuffle your entire discard pile back into your deck. It's extremely powerful. But with a double colourless energy, this is 4 energy attachments. Without its 5 energy attachments, that's a lot. But they're basically going, well, you're not one-hit KOing me anyway, so who really cares? And alright, you're not one-hit KOing them here, but what you can do is just shuffle all of their energy back into their deck. And the Celebi and Venusaur. And look, Celebi and Venusaur's a basic. It's not exactly going to be difficult to get another Celebi and Venusaur. But getting back to 3 energy to use Pollen Hazard's going to be annoying. Getting back to 4 energy to use Solar Beam is going to be really, really annoying. And you can do this with other stuff, but it's not quite as effective. So let's take something like Pikachu and Zekrom as an example. First attack, 3 energy, 150, and you attach 3 energy from the deck to one of your Pokemon. And a lot of the time they'll want to attach it to the same Pikachu and Zekrom, so they can use a GX attack which does 200 to the active, 170 to one of the bench. Which is cool and all, but then they've got 6 energy on. But they don't need 6 energy on, they need 3. Now, to be fair, you can shuffle the Pikachu and Zekrom and all 6 energy back, and that could be a bit annoying, but they can easily play around it. The first Pikachu and Zekrom, they actually need Thunder Mountain to reduce the energy cost, and then a Tapu Koko to get an energy on, so they can essentially use it for a single energy. That's basically the way the deck works. And if you can catch them with no other Pika-Rom out, get rid of the Thunder Mountain. They have to Lost Zone Tapu Koko to use it, and then they become a very slow deck. Though, to be fair, they all play Zapdos, so they've got a single energy attacker. That's not going to work too well. Reshiram and Charizard's got a great GX attack that does a huge amount of damage for just 3 energy, and then they need 4 energy to use their main attack. Now, to be fair, they've still got an outrage attack if you don't get a one-hit KO, but with stuff like Welder and Volcanion, you can certainly frustrate them by getting rid of all their energy, but I don't know if you're really locking them out the game. And essentially this is what it comes down to. Decks with little energy acceleration that take a lot of energy, and Celebi and Venusaur's probably the best example here, this can be an absolutely brutal attack. Outside of that, not so good. And then of course you get to the thing of, well, hang on a second. This is once per game. This is only after the GX attack. Useful and fun, and here's the best thing about this. Basic Pokemon, single colorless energy. That's actually really cool. You can drop this as a complete full-on surprise. You can just bench it, attach a single energy of any description, and then go. And that's really cool. But it is a one-shot deal. Now, as for the damaging attack here, we're looking at 3 colorless energy, 70 damage. Which is fine, but it's not quite enough. Now, if Choice Band hadn't rotated, we could go Choice Band Diancie Prism Star, 1-hit KO on a Pika-Rom, yes. Even without it, if you're behind on prizes, Martial Arts Dojo and a Diancie Prism Star goes to 130, 260 with weakness, and you're fine. But what if you're not hitting for weakness? It's not quite as good. And you generally need some energy acceleration, so you want to play this in decks with stuff like Welder or Malamar. And honestly, we've got Onix from Lost Thunder. Onix from Lost Thunder is really good. 4 colorless energy, and okay, it's 4 rather than 3 in Boo Hiss, etc. But it does 120, so it just gets a KO on Pika-Rom. None of this, I need Diancie, Prism Star, etc. You're just off. Because you're not going to put Heracross into a random deck. Because Heracross needs Diancie and Martial Arts Dojo. So you can put Heracross in a deck, but it's probably going to be a fighting deck. And if you're playing a fighting deck, you don't need Heracross to counter Pikachu and Zekrom, because your entire deck counters them. We've got Onix. So, yeah. I don't really like this second attack. Now, okay, it's got lower retreat, but it's basically Onix that does less damage and has less HP. Easier to retreat, yes, and 1 fewer energy, yes. But when you're getting into 3 energy, you're looking at energy acceleration anyway. And when you're looking at energy acceleration, it doesn't really matter. The extra damage here just makes it significantly better. So we're left with a Pokemon where the main attack is a worse version of a Pokemon that, in fairness, does see a lot of play. And then the first attack is a one-shot deal that could be super annoying, but you get 1 chance to use it in the entire game, and good players can just, frankly, make sure that they've got enough energy on the field before they use their GX attack. It's not always quite so simple, but a lot of the time it might be that simple. It's a fun Pokemon, and I think you might want 1 or 2 copies in your binder to take into a deck here or there, and that makes it a free Wossie card. I was really excited about Terrakion earlier on today. I am, shall we say, somewhat less excited about this. But I'd like to know how excited you are, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.